What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Modern Mortgage Show, where I interview mortgage professionals who share their stories and valuable information about the industry. I'm your host, Rocco, and I'm thrilled to introduce my final guest of the day. His name is Aaron Gordon, and he is the branch manager at Guild Mortgage Company out of Henderson, Nevada. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rocco, how you doing? Good to be here.
Doing good. Thanks for being here. So Aaron, can you please start off the show by just telling us a little bit about yourself and give us a brief introduction of who you are?
Got in the mortgage business around 2001 or so. My brother-in-law was owned a mortgage company, small mortgage company, and I had a marketing background up till then, and sold our small mortgage marketing company, and had nothing to do. And he had tried to get me in the mortgage business prior to that, and I was like, "Man, finance is boring. I don't want to do finance. That sounds awful." And he said, "Ah, you'll like it. You'll make good money." So I came in the business. He handed me a stack of loan guidelines that was this big, and he gave me a username and password to LP, DU, and a couple other things we had at the time. I had no clue what I was doing, Rocco. I was completely clueless. I went out and bought Mortgages for Dummies, the yellow and black book.
Yep.
Taught myself mortgages, and that was my entry into the business.
Yes, I interviewed Trevor like last week, and he was a personal trainer. And then he said one of his friends told him about it, so he went out and bought the Mortgage for Dummies, read it, and then went to a Wells Fargo or something and saw if they would hire him or something, which is funny.
You know what? I tell everybody who's in mortgage or real estate, we all got in the business the same way. None of us went to college or in high school or coming out of there wanted to be in mortgage or real estate. We all saw somebody in our life who was an idiot, who was making a ton of money, and you're like, man, if that knucklehead could do it, I could do this. And so that's kind of how we all got in. That's kind of how I got in. Everybody I talked to, that's how we all got in the same way.
Yeah, I'm starting to realize that more as I interview more people. It's either they were in a job they didn't like, a friend or someone was sending them pictures of their paychecks or something like that. Some funny story. So
it's an amazing business. It's a great business. It's just super stressful at times, especially right now, but very rewarding. And obviously, at the end of the day, you're helping people buy houses and create home ownership, which is always amazing. But sometimes, like today, you're helping people navigate through home ownership and the challenges of that. So it's a very challenging job.
Absolutely. So you've been in the industry, you said, since 01, so about 19 years.
Yeah, about 19 years or so. Yeah.
So what type of work you did before? You had a marketing company, you said?
I had a marketing background, and so what was really great for me was that the first month I was even in business, I got a loan, and so I've never had a month without loans. Marketing, whether in real estate or in mortgage, marketing is the key. At the end of the day, that's what we are. We're marketers. We're marketers and salespeople, and your success is determined by how well you market. And so I had that advantage coming in. It was a massive advantage for me, and so it maintains to this day and really drives all my daily activities.
Definitely. So it was your brother-in-law. So was that it? He told you, and then you were sold, or was there any other motivating factors?
He's like, man, you make a lot of money doing this, and you should give it a try. You'd be good at it. And he tried to get me to do it for a few years, and I was just not into it. It wasn't that, I was a sports journalism major in college. I wanted to be a sportscaster coming out of college, and so that was all my focus. Then it kind of evolved into marketing and the internet and trying to be more involved in that. And I just didn't have any background in finance, and so I literally had to teach myself. But what excited me about the business, Rocco, was the marketing piece of it. So I got in, I was able to market. Not a lot of people were doing the type of marketing I was doing back then, and so really the way I started, it wouldn't happen today, but the way I started was because I was a marketing person, and I knew I was like, who should I market to? And you're probably way too young to remember this, but you used to, when you'd walk into a grocery store or exit a grocery store, there was a bunch of magazines there. And those magazines would be magazines with homes in them. And so the first place I ever marketed was I looked through those magazines and I was like, any agent who's advertising in these magazines is obviously doing some deals because they're paying for that marketing. Mm-hmm. So I focused my business immediately on agents who advertised. And so it worked. And that was not a lot of people were doing that at the time. And what I started doing back then, Rocco, and I do it to this day, is I believe the key to any loan officer is you have to be knowledgeable and be an educator. So I taught myself the business. I absorbed everything I could in the business. That first year of mortgage, I mean, by the end of that first year, I feel like I was truly an expert in the field. I learn every day. Something new happens every day, and I learn. But that first year, I felt like I had a really deep knowledge of the mortgage business, and I shared it. So I shared my knowledge with everybody I could in mass emails or marketing pieces. And it was cool, Rocco, because whatever I learned was so new to me that I was excited to share that with others.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So when you do that, when you become somebody who educates and somebody who shares information and can break down information to make it easy to digest and easy to understand, people migrate to you because they want that education. And that's how I built my career over 19 years. I'm doing it right now. So even right now, today, every day since the virus has come and driven us to our homes, every day I send out an update on basically what that means in lending. And people have migrated to those updates. And I'm getting a lot of response to those updates. And those updates were really written, one, for me to try to understand, when I'm reading a new Fannie Mae guideline, or I'm reading a new guideline, or I'm reading some news as it relates to real estate and mortgage, I'm trying to absorb it for myself. And so when I'm reading and absorbing it for myself, trying to make it understandable to me, and then breaking that down and sharing that with others, it's really it's been a positive thing. The past this which is very unfortunate, has actually been positive for my business because people appreciate getting the knowledge right now. People are thirsty for knowledge right now.
Absolutely, definitely. No matter how new you are to this industry, it seems if you're knowledgeable, if you can educate, and you know how to market and brand yourself, you're going to do just fine.
Yeah, I mean, this business is really challenging, but anybody can do loans. There's a lot of people who are smarter than me in the loan business. There's not a lot of people who have my marketing background, and so companies like yourself and other people that help folks market. It's really the piece that people forget to or choose to ignore when it's the most important piece. You have to be in front of people. You have to get out in front of. When I first got a mortgage too, I hired a coach, and my first coach told me the amount of loans you do is equal to the amount of people you get belly to belly with. Well, that obviously tells you that was 2001, because that's not the case today. But it kind of is the case, because it's the case now more virtually. Like, how many people do you get in front of? How many people know who you are? And when you get in front of them and they Google you, or they look for you on Facebook, or they look for you on LinkedIn, or they look for you on Instagram, they're looking to see who you are. And it's always shocking to me, Rocco, is a lot of agents, we'll get a contract in, and we usually know the buyer's agent, right? I mean, that's usually the buyer's agent has referred us. And sometimes, but we want to introduce ourselves to the listing side agent too. We want to call the person up and say, hey, we're going to be handling your transaction, and here's our best phone numbers, and here's the best way to reach us, and what's the best way to communicate with you. I mean, you'd be shocked at how many people, one, don't put their phone number on the contract because they don't want people calling them. But then you go to Google the agent just to get contact information, an email address or a phone number, whatever. And you Google the people and you can't find them. How do you expect to be successful in business, whether it's real estate or mortgage or anything today, if I Google you and I can't find you? Right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people don't exchange phone numbers today, or they lose phone numbers. They don't care about the phone. I mean, I talk to my kids, and my kids are more your age, probably, Rocco, but like, they don't even know people's phone numbers anymore. They message each other through messaging services. They don't phone number. What's a phone? I don't need a phone number, Dad. Calling people's weird. I mean, that's where we live in today. But if I go to Google you and I can't find out how to contact you, that's difficult. So anybody who's listening to this today or watching it, I would encourage you, Google yourself, see what shows up. If nothing shows up, you better get a plan to show up, because it's a key. It'll change your business tomorrow. It'll be an instant increase in your business tomorrow by just making yourself available. We all have to do business the way the customer wants to do business. Some customers want a text. Some customers want an email. Some customers want phone. Some rare ones today want fax. You gotta be willing to do business the customer's way. And there's so many different ways. If a customer wants to message you through Facebook, well, guess what? That's the way they want to do business, and so you have to adapt to that.
For sure. It's about who knows you. So, and also with the Googling yourself, you're the one controlling what's out there. So I don't know why you wouldn't want positive stuff and just a bunch of information about you out there.
Right. And then the easiest way to do it is just post stuff on, LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, I mean, just get them. It's important, I think.
Just content. Yeah. So what would you say, obviously you love to educate people and help people. What would you say is the most fulfilling or rewarding part about your job?
I mean, it's always helping, either first time home buyers, or anybody who just really is in love with a house that really wants their house, or people that, anytime you're helping change somebody's financial picture or their outlook, I mean, that's always so rewarding. I mean, even if it's a cash out refi, if you're helping somebody cash out refi to pay for kids' college, whatever, any type of those like special, wow moments are always the best part of the job. But for me, I actually developed a reputation many years ago as somebody who never says no. My answer is never no. My answer is not today, is at worst. And I've also developed a reputation of somebody who, if I say the loan can't be done, it probably can't be done, because we will exhaust our team. We will spend hours upon hours to try to figure out a loan. We will try to jam the square peg into the round hole. And those moments when some other lender has said no, and then we've spent hours and hours and hours and we find the yes, even if the customer isn't super excited at the end, or it wasn't a first time home buyer, or it wasn't anything like that, the fact that we took it from a no to a yes, those are the most rewarding times for me. Those are the most exciting times for me. And I don't know, have you ever done like a strength finder? You ever done one of those strength finder tests? No. So strength finder is an amazing tool, right? And it costs like $29, but check it out online, and you answer like 100 and some questions, and it tells you your strengths, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it gives you your 5 top strengths, and then it tells you stack ranked all the strengths from beginning to end, so you can see which aren't your strengths as well. It turns out, and I've been doing this for 19 years, like you said. I just took the strength finder for the first time 6 months ago, and one of my strengths was the fact that I like to solve puzzles. I like to take things that are a no and turn them into a yes, and that's one of my personality traits. So that, to me, that's the most rewarding piece of.
Yeah, definitely when they say no and you turn into yes is very rewarding. We had a veteran come through our program. He was living in a motel for like 2 months because he was just hearing no, 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 no from every lender. And then who was the loan officer who's in that area, who was in our program, they came through and we got him into a home within like 3 weeks. So even though I wasn't originating the loan, it still was very rewarding because they did come through our program.
Yeah, I mean, those are the moments. Those are the times that are great. The other one, a loan that'll stick with me, it's amazing because I do a lot of loans. The one that sticks with me most is actually a veteran loan. I had a 88-year-old guy call me to buy a house. And so you can't age discriminate, obviously, in our business. And I quoted him a 30-year rate, and just the chuckle and the smile on his face when I was quoting him a 30-year rate, he's like, I'm not going to be around for 30 years. Look, man, I hope you are around. I hope you know. Yeah. But I'll never forget. He was a first-time homeowner, Rocco. First-time homeowner at 88 years old. He was a veteran, never owned a house before, and those are special. Those are special moments. And a lot of people, I think he had in his own mind convinced himself that he was too old. Like, who's going to give him a 30-year loan? So I think that we didn't turn a no to a yes, but we turned his own internal no to a yes, and that was it's one of the most memorable loans, I think, of our lives. My life.
Yeah, and in my opinion, the VA loan is one of the most powerful mortgage products out there. And it's just sad because most veterans don't know that they've earned that benefit and they're not aware of the VA loan. So definitely when you get a lender that's educated and knowledgeable that will share what they're entitled to, definitely helps.
In my loan application, it's not on all loan applications. In my mini application, I ask the customer, "Are you a veteran?" Because early in my years of doing loans, when, like I said, I taught myself out of the book Mortgages for Dummies, right? And nobody trained me. I trained myself. And in my first year, I probably did 2 or 3 loans for veterans and didn't give them a VA loan because they never said anything.
Yeah.
And I was determined after that first year that that'll never happen to me again, because it's obviously the best loan for almost every time.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a handful of times it's not, but it's almost always the best loan. And so I think it's so important for every originator, ask the question, because to your point, Rocco, a lot of them don't even think about it. They'll apply for a conventional loan, they'll apply for an FHA loan, they'll apply for every other type of loan. You got to ask the question, are you a veteran? Yes or no? And somebody told me that question is in the new 1003 when it ever rolls out, but it's not today. And so you got to ask the question. And so it's really important because so many, it's like appraisal waivers. I don't know if you've heard the statistic, but 30% of loan officers are getting an appraisal waiver when they run DU or LP, and they're ignoring the appraisal waiver. And they're going all the way to closing with an appraisal, and Fannie and Freddie are not happy about that because they're like, "We gave you the waiver. Where's our waiver?" They didn't read their DU. Nobody did. And it's the same thing with a VA loan. I mean, why would you go get an appraisal if you don't have to? Why would you do a conventional or an FHA loan if you don't have to? And you go VA. So, I mean, there are some times, obviously, when sellers are skittish on VA loans for absolutely no reason because they haven't been educated correctly. And that happens, but the other times, I mean, you got to ask the question.
That's awesome that you asked that you had 2, and then you decided after every year it's never happening again.
Never gonna happen again. I don't think it has. I mean, I don't. It may have happened, but not to my knowledge. And it did twice that first year, and it was really kind of discouraging me. The other thing, Rocco, that happened to me in that first year was I was in the grocery store, and I really pride myself on marketing. So I've always been about maintaining my database and and keeping a good CRM and keeping track of everybody I talk to and all that good stuff, because I'm a marketing person, so I know to do that. Not everybody knows to do that, and most people don't. And but probably 7 months into my mortgage career, I was in the grocery store. I had met with this customer face to face, and saw the customer in the grocery store. And, "Hey, how you doing? How's the home search going?" "Oh, I bought a house already." I was startled. I'm like, "What happened?" And he said, "Oh, I lost your phone number." And I was so bummed at myself. I said to myself that day, that will never happen again. Nobody will ever lose my. I will hammer people in terms of drip campaigns and every marketing thing I have to do. I don't care how long you've been on my database. You're going to hear from me the rest of your life until you say no. And that's I've never had that happen again either. So it's in business. It's all about you make a mistake. You're going to make a mistake all the time, but you just got to try to learn and correct it.
Definitely, a majority of people don't follow up, and 80% of sales are made between the 5th and 12th contact.
Right. And I manage a lot of loan officers. Loan officers like, "I don't want to bug people with email." Well, hold on one second, Rocco. My PC battery is dying. Sorry.
No problem. Hello? I think we're good. Can you hear me?
Am I back? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem.
The trials and tribulation of online marketing. You can hear me?
Okay. Yep. I think we're good now. Awesome. So let's shift gears here for a second. So what would you say was your biggest obstacle or struggle that you faced early on when you first started?
It's the biggest struggle that I face today. It's as you grow in bit. So we all get into the business, whether we're mortgage people, real estate people, and it's just about us, right? I'm going to go do loans. I'm going to market. I'm going to go do loans, and then you get to a point where you now need help,
Yep.
right? And so you go and hire the first person to join your team, and then you go hire the next person to join your team. Well, now you end up in management and pipeline management and trying to juggle a bunch of balls at once. And you really have two choices. Either one, I decide not to grow, or I grow and I decide to become a manager. And so that is, it's always more challenging because when it's just you and you control everything yourself, it's really easy, and you know who your associate is. When you grow a team, team building is a lot more challenging. And so I have an amazing team today. Every member of my team is fantastic, but it's not always like that. And so that is the constant struggle to manage. And then when you get to a point where you're doing a lot of loans and getting a lot of leads, it's really difficult to manage it because who does what, and it's not cut and dry. Who does what? Who does what should be based on my opinion. What I'm not good at, I need to recognize what I'm not good at, and I need to delegate that to somebody way better than me at that. Okay. What I am good at, and I've always been good at, is marketing, selling, talking to my customers, talking to the people that trust me every day with their referral business. That's what I'm really good at. Okay. I'm really good at doing loans too. I'm really good at guidelines and all that other good stuff too. But is that the best use of my time every day? Probably not. So it's really, that is always the challenge, Rocco. And it's just, it never leaves you. It never leaves. It evolves. And the more you do, the bigger the challenge is. And then, it's just, there's a lot of pressure in that challenge too, because, as you try to navigate, and I lived through the mortgage meltdown in 2008, and I will survive this period of time, but it's a little bit different when you have teammates, because it's not just about me.
Yeah.
I have to wake up in the morning and put on a hat now and not dress clothes or anything, but I have to wake up in the morning and I have to stay focused on my efforts, because it's not just me. There's a bunch of people counting on me to deliver. And so that is the most challenging part every year, day in, day out.
Absolutely. I see you got some books in the back there. Have you read any leadership books?
So I have the book that I need to read right now called the $1 Trillion Coach. So that's one book. The books that I've been reading lately, that book I need to start. I just started another book called Essentialism. I don't know if you heard of that. A really popular book. It's about how in life, we're all trying to go from A to B, right? And we've convinced ourselves, well, the path to A to B is a straight line, right? But we've convinced ourselves that we need to do a lot of this stuff. Like, I got to do this today. I got to do this today. I got to do this today. Is it truly essential to do those activities to get you from point A to point B? So whatever your goal is, so if my goal is to next year close, 300 loans, or whatever my goal is, right? What does it take to get there? And what am I doing here that is probably, that I think is important to get here, but maybe not as important to get here? Does that make sense? And so, so those are the types of things that I like to read. I like to read things that maybe not necessarily from a leadership perspective, but make me a better example, because I've always led by example. I'm a good rah-rah guy and when it comes to that stuff. But I think at the end of the day, it's most important that I lead by example and through my execution. And so I'm always looking for ways to improve that.
Yep, absolutely. Leading by example is critical. So I coach wrestling as well, And one main thing that I always try to focus on is leading by example. So if we tell them to go run, so I'm running with them, I'm wrestling with them, I'm showing them things, I'm leading by example. Because if I'm just telling them stuff to do and it's something I wouldn't do, then what's the point of them doing it? So
Yeah.
I always choose to lead by example, and that's how you also gain their respect and authority as a coach. So, what tips or any advice you would give to loan officers that are just starting out in their journey?
Right.
All right, so we're back for part 2 of episode 12. We had a little technical difficulties. I'll merge these when the final episode comes out, but part 2, here we go. So we ended off by saying the question was, what tips or advice would you give to loan officers who are just starting out and hungry for business?
Number one, I'm going to give you the coaching tip that I got, which is the amount of loans you do is based on the amount of people you see belly to belly. Right now, that's tough. That's not going to happen right now. So you got to get in front of people by phone, virtually, however you got to get in front of them. But once we emerge from this thing, you got to get in front of real estate agents. The next piece of it is when you do get in front of them, don't be somebody you're not. Be yourself. Don't be afraid to admit that you're new, that you're hungry, that you're going to do whatever it takes to get a loan closed. Just be yourself, and lead with education. Be the source of knowledge. You don't have to know all loan guidelines. You got people around you to ask. Don't worry about absorbing. A lot of new loan officers come to us and they can't do a loan until I know all the guidelines.
Yep.
Well, I've been doing this 20 years. I don't know all the guidelines. But I know where to go look. Okay. You don't need to know loan guidelines. You need to know enough about them. You need to know the basics, but you got to throw yourself into sales and marketing. It's not about what you know on loans. It's about how good of a salesperson, a marketing person you are. Now, once you get the opportunity, you gotta close it. You gotta close it on time. So, but don't worry about that piece first. Worry about getting business first. So, too many people, I think, when they start, they're so worried about learning guidelines and all the products and all that. You don't need to know that. Just talk to the customer. Customers are, if you just listen to what the customer wants, they'll tell you what they want. You'll go deliver that for them, but concentrate on getting in front of people and letting people know who you are. And in today's day and age, I would lead with just like we're doing here, Rocco. Hey, can I talk to you for 10 minutes about your business, or can I educate you as to what's going on, with COVID-19 and lending, whatever it is, just get in front of people.
Absolutely. Imperfect action is always better than no action at all.
Yeah. Look, you're going to mess up loans. I mean, the first year you're in the business, you're going to hose things up. I mean, it's just the nature of it. You're going to do what I did. You're going to do a VA loan for somebody you're going to do an FHA loan for a veteran. You're going to say that somebody's pre-approved that's nowhere near pre-approved. You're going to do stupid stuff. But you got to surround yourself by, hopefully you're at a good company with good management and a lot of experienced people, and you just got to ask a lot of questions. The other thing I would tell you, Rocco, if you're just getting started out, just make sure your pre-approval is super clean. Because nothing will kill your reputation faster than your first couple loans if you have to decline them or is a very, very rough experience. So when you're just getting started, take an amazing loan application, really be diligent, go ask the people around you, does this look like it works? Do you see any hurdles here? Ask for too many documents. You really want to make sure that every single transaction you do in that first year goes off without you creating any of it. You're going to make a bunch of mistakes. But you want to make sure that once you get into process, that thing goes pretty smoothly, because business creates business in our business. So the better job you do, the better communicator you are, people respond to that. People will migrate to you if you do an amazing job.
For sure. That's great advice. So in recent years, technology has really made an impact into the industry and it's revolutionized it. So how would you say this has affected you?
I'm an early adopter, Rocco. The new iPhone comes out, I'm all over it. So when day one certainty came out, we were all over that. So using document electronics to verify income and assets and even tax returns. We were all over that. We use Guild invested in Salesforce a couple of years ago, spent $10 million. We went all in on Salesforce on our team. So technology has really changed the way I do things. One of my first coaches also told me you never do a loan application without getting somebody in front of you, right? Face it, because that way they don't shop you as much. You build a relationship with them. I haven't done a face-to-face loan application in maybe a couple of years. And so, so technology has kind of changed all that. I'll use Zoom to do or Blue Jeans to do a loan application today. Customers, like I said on the early part, customers want to do business their way. You need to ask them how they want to do business. And the way customers want to do business today, most of them, they don't want to come to your office. They don't want to go into their garage and find their tax returns. They don't want to have to download 20 pages of bank statements. They don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yep.
So they want to use technology. Most loan officers today aren't giving them that option. So they're creating a really bad experience for them. The customer may never tell you, you're not creating the best experience. It's funny. I tell our teams all the time, because we were such an early adopter of day one certainty, and using all these electronic methods of verification. I said, think about today. Think about when I call you as a loan officer and I say, what do I need? What do I need to give you on my loan? If you're one of those loan officers that are still today saying, okay, I need your last 2 pay stubs. I need your last 2 W-2s. I need your last 2 years to tax returns. I need last 2 bank statements, all pages, both sides. Okay. Or you call up a loan company like Quicken or Guild or somebody who's using day one certainty, or loan officers using day one certainty. Say, what do you need on your loan today? Sir, I don't need anything today. I'm going to run you through software. I may not need a stitch of document on your loan. How's that sound? Which experience is better? Do you want to be Kmart or do you want to be Amazon? Think about everybody uses Amazon, right, Rocco?
Yeah.
If I place my next Amazon order and it said, Mr. Gordon, we've got your order. Hey, will you do me a favor? Will you send me your last 2 years of tax returns before I ship you your new TV set? You'd be like, what? Like what? We've trained people that things are fast and immediate, and we're super responsive through technology. I'm an old guy. I'm going to be 55 years old, and I've adapted technology. People talk about how are we going to compete with an electronic world of mortgage. You have to become electronic. You have to do a high touch, high technology experience for the customer, meaning they're not going to get you. They're not going to get you over at one of these online lenders. Okay. They're going to do 40 loan applications in a day and they're going to hand you off to somebody else. What makes you different is that you care, you listen, but then you offer the technology piece.
Yeah.
So I think that, it's a slow adopter. Most loan officers are really slow at adapting to that. You got to go in. You got to jump into the year 2000 with both feet. So,
yeah, absolutely. You said doing business the way the customer wants to do business. Most ways, or most times, that's going to be the easiest way.
For sure.
The way that involves the least amount of effort on their end.
Exactly. They don't want to do anything. They want to sign a document. They want to docu-sign a document, and they want the loan to show up. They want you to hand them the keys.
Yep.
So think about that. That's truly what people want, right? They would love to be able to do an online application, press submit, get their keys in 12 minutes, and go to their new house.
Yeah.
That's what they would love to have happen. Every barrier that you put in there that beyond that is annoying. So think about how many barriers you have in your business. Now, look, I know we have 8 days of disclosure times, and it's probably going to take 30 days and all that other stuff, but that's what they want, right? Now think about what you are delivering. Are you asking for all these documents? Are you 4 or 5 times? Are you asking them for page 4 of a bank statement still because it doesn't look, because there's a deposit on there or it was cut off, a page was cut off? If you're asking for all that stuff, how different are you than the expectation of today, right? And so what does that mean? Yeah, you're getting that loan today, but the chances of you getting the refinance and the friend's loan and the cousin's loan and the coworker's loan is greatly diminished.
Yeah.
The more you change that experience. So those tools are available to us today. Now, they don't work all the time, and I understand that. Day one certainty doesn't work 100% of the time. It maybe works 50% of the time or 55%. But you have to deliver that, when you can, because that's going to make your business grow.
Absolutely. So what modern strategies are you using or taking advantage of that's helping you to scale your production or maintain better relationships or even just systemize and organize your business?
I mean, that's the most important thing. So from the very moment we pre-approve somebody, we're trying to do day one certainty. We're trying to do electronic verification of employment, electronic verification of assets, electronic verification of tax returns. We're trying to do all that so that we basically, as soon as we make the pre-approval call, we can say, look, your loan's ready for underwriting. I don't need anything from you. And then if I get an appraisal waiver, which happens a lot of times today as well, we are truly offering a no document experience. Now, what does that do for my team? Right? If I don't need to chase down these documents, I mean, any loan officer who's listening to this knows the biggest challenge in our business is getting documents from the customer. They don't want to supply them. It's a pain to supply them. It's annoying. So if you just use the tools that are available to us technology-wise, so we're using those, Rocco, and then what we use in terms of just follow-up. Why I think a lot of people trust us with their referral business is our follow-up is really good. Yep. So you give me a lead, I'm not just calling that person one time and that's the end. Because what happens, we all get leads. We call, they just hung up with the agent. The agent gives us the lead. We call, it goes to voicemail. And then you text them and they don't respond. Well, are you the loan officer that quits right there because your systems don't allow you to keep up? Or are you the loan officer who has a great system in place, CRM-wise, that reminds you, hey, follow up tomorrow, and then follow up 2 days from now, then follow up 4 days from now. And then when that person finally responds to text 16 days from now, or 46 days from now, or 600 days from now, okay? If you're that person who's doing that type of follow-up, and I go back to you, Rocco, you're the agent who referred me on March 24th, and I show up March 24th, 2021, I said, guess what? Bill Smith, who you referred me a year ago today, just texted me he wants to go home shopping, okay? How powerful do I become as a loan officer?
Absolutely.
Would you rather use me as the loan officer or somebody you gave a lead to on March 24th and can't remember what happened to that lead? Has no idea what happened to that lead, right? Doesn't remember that lead from Adam. They wrote it on a Post-it note, on a sticky. They stuck it on their desk. They called them. They texted them. There was no answer. That was the end of the lead. Poof, gone, right? So that's where using technology makes you the modern loan officer and makes you different than all these online loan officers.
Absolutely. And, some people think that level of persistence would be buggy, but the way I look at it is it would be unethical for me knowing that I can help you and what we do can help you. It would be unethical for me to just not persist. So
100%.
when you can help them, it truly isn't buggy. It's you're persisting because you know what you can do can change their life.
And Rocco, so you're somebody who, let's say that you came to me today, we pre-approved you, or we just had a conversation, and now I'm marketing to you once a month, whatever, an email. For those that think that I'm bugging you, Rocco's not getting other stuff from other mortgage companies all the time in his mailbox, spam. He's not getting bombarded by other mortgage people. Of course he is. The world is marketing to him, especially when you ran credit. When you ran credit, you just opened up the Pandora's box of marketing to a bunch of companies, okay? So just because you're dropping an email on Rocco once a month doesn't mean you're bugging him. Yeah. That's probably the least buggy because he knows you. He talked to you, okay? We all know how easy is it to get out of marketing today. It's a click. If I think you're bugging me, I click you away, right? Force people to click you away. Yeah. You're not being intrusive. You're providing information. They applied for a mortgage. They talked to a real estate agent and ended up in your lap. They were interested in getting a house. If they're not interested anymore, it's very simple for them to say, I want out of your marketing. They click a link or they email you. They do a reply to your email and say, hey, take me off your list.
Absolutely. So last question here. Where do you see all this going in the future in terms of technology in the mortgage industry?
I think that, like I said, you got to be the good news for me is I'm 55 years old and I'm probably out of here in 5 years. So I just got to hang on for 5 more years. But for the rest of you that got to navigate through this, mortgages are going online. Mortgages are going to go more and more online. More and more customers aren't going to want to talk to their loan officers. More and more people are going to want that experience of fill out an application, hit submit, give me a loan. Okay. So the good news for everybody is that is still a very scary experience. It's a lot of money, and it's buying a home, and people still, it's like, it's like I look at Zillow and Redfin and all these things. There are amazing places to look at houses, and people go there to look at houses, but people don't always hire agents off of there. In fact, most of the time they hire agents outside of there. Yep. So they're using them for research, but they want a human that they can text at 11 o'clock at night that's going to answer the text.
100%. Okay? Yep.
So where we all have to adopt, I remember one of my first coaches, Rocco, told me, do not answer text. Well, we didn't really have texting back then. Don't answer emails. Don't answer phone calls, after 7 o'clock at night, or else you train people that is the new normal for you and that's acceptable. That was one of my first coaches ever, 19, 20 years ago. Today, that's wrong, because what makes you different is the fact that you will answer a text at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday. Their loan officer at ABC Mortgage that they got online is not answering any text. They're not even getting their phone number. They're not getting their cell phone number. Okay. So you, as the modern loan officer, have to use high touch, high technology, and be highly available.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the differentiator. We have a loan officer in our branch, Rocco, who had a full-time job in the morning and does loans from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 10 o'clock at night. Okay. And we all thought it's the craziest thing we ever heard. It's never going to work. Massive producer. He doesn't even respond before 2 o'clock. Before he quit that other job, he didn't even respond before 2 o'clock because he had his other job. But because he was the 2 to 10 loan officer, he had a bunch of people, agents, that want to do business at night. And he has fit that niche. After him, I've told people, look, you want to be a newbie loan officer and you want to really get some business? Say you're a 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. loan officer. That's when you work. There's probably a handful of agents in your market who will love that, and you will grab them immediately, right? Yeah. Because no other loan officer is doing that, right? Even if there's 5 agents in your market that want to do that, right? You got all their business because you're answering the text at 10 o'clock at night, right? You're the swing shift loan officer. So I think that's the key, Rocco, of the future is doing business the customer's way, high touch, high tech, high contact.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, I really want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I know we had some technical difficulties. I will edit out our technical difficulties and put these side by side. So I had a great time talking with you. I really appreciate your time today.
I enjoyed it, Rocco.
And to all the viewers for watching, we'll see you again next episode.